Oh, it's just Jord.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another new theory and story explanation video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a new game called The Station. Now before we get right into this video, I do have to mention that this game was given to me from my MCN Freedom as a review copy, so I got to play it a little bit early. Also, with that being said, we worked out a deal for you guys, or any of you listening. If you want a copy of the game, I managed to work out a 40% discount on the game. So, if you just follow the link in the description, you can actually pick it up for $10.99, 40% off the original Steam retail price. And the checkout system will be through Humble Bundle, so when you do click the link, you'll see Humble Bundle, but it will be okay if you do want to buy it. So anyway, and obviously a massive shout to, obviously, it's going to contain huge spoilers, so if you do want to play the game, pause the video, go have a play, come back, and then we'll continue. Okay, so hopefully you've played the game or you're just sticking around for the video, which is fine, either way it's great. So, to begin the story, you are introduced to a few people discussing the possibility of observing a new planet, as they found that the planet they actually want to observe does in fact have sentient life there, and it's a sort of sibling planet to their own. With a result of 62% of the board agreeing for the mission to travel and spy on the alien planet, Axon, the main backers of the project, are also suspected of rigging the vote, as it's speculated on board of the S-Pool, as Milla mentions. I suppose the first point you could bring up is why would they need to rig the votes? Well, upon the alien planet there is a war taking place between the aliens themselves, and with this brought hesitation for many of the members of public and people on the board who voted against no for the idea of going to spy on the planet. So fast forward a few days, potentially months. So while the S-Pool has been active and stationed for a few days, all of a sudden the signals are lost in communication, power, and the stealth mode of the S-Pool are all down. This obviously causes panic. The supposed reason for the failure is due to the warp jump to the PSY Prime. When the S-Pool jumped into time warp, it was reported to Axon that the damage was due to electromagnetic radiation, something they weren't aware of happening due to the long journey. As a result of this, you, the player, is sent to the ship and you have the role of recon specialist, and your goal is to find and obtain any data about what happened. And also with this you have the secondary goal of finding out what happened to the actual main crew members. Now I will talk about the crew members next in detail because they are very key to the story. Now name pronunciation isn't my forte and I will be the first to admit that. So if I get any of the names wrong, let me know in the comments below and inform everyone else of how to actually say it, because I am sucking at pronouncing names. But anyway, the first crew member I wanted to talk about was Aiden Weiss, the engineer. Aiden is a divorced dad of one little girl named Keena, with his ex-wife, Farah. After their marriage fell apart many dates before the launch of the S-Pool, Aiden was given parental control over Keena. We know this due to the last letter or note that is left behind by Aiden when he dies. He passes all known possessions to Keena and asks that Farah is given full responsibility for her. It's also learned here that he passes all of the finance that he has to continue her treatment for her condition known as CSAD, which we know Aiden also carries as it's mentioned in the medical wing notes. CSAD stands for Chromosome Splicing Alteration Defect. The aim of the treatment was to improve cognitive processing, dexterity, and improving overall physical strength. At one point in the game's timeline, CSAD killed around 160 million lives, but 20 years after the creation of the defect, it's now manageable and can be controlled with medication. And on to our next crew member, Milla the captain. Milla is the captain of the S-Pool. One of the main things to note about Milla is the fact that her and Silas once had a relationship that lasted 6 years, and that ended before the launch of the S-Pool. The reason the relationship came to an end was due to Axon not being very happy with the possibility that two of the members would be involved in each other, and this would affect production and function on the ship. so Silas decided to break it off. On another note, Milla is also the daughter of Sternolexa, a very well-respected captain and legend within the game, so Milla often feels like she has lived in his shadow, which she mentions a few times in the game, and she often has messages for herself to reassure her and keep her motivated. And then that leads us on to our third and final crew member, Silas Hayes, the researcher. Silas Hayes was the researcher aboard the Espoo. As an individual, he was very impressive, winning awards like the Tritonal Achievement for his contribution to science, but this was just one of his awards, as in his room we can see boxes on boxes of his awards. We also see that he has a skill for writing, as within some of these boxes he has another award for best-selling non-fiction book, Evolutionary Unknown. But this does not mean he is heartless. We find out aboard the Espoo that even though he stated to the company Axon he would not have romantic intentions with Milla, he made many plans for them to be alone with Milla, even asking Aiden to build a secret room away from the camera feeds for him and Milla. After requesting this from Aiden, he does go on to tell him to not inform Lena in the slightest, as she might not warm to the idea of it just yet. You can find the audio log for this in the maintenance office. Most of Silas's work on the Espoo consisted of watching and analysing the similarities between the aliens and themselves, and coming to a general overall idea of would they be approachable or not, or would they be hostile. While they research and observe the planet, it turns out that the aliens that the crew were observing were actually very similar between the aliens and the crew aboard. As even in Silas's room, he identifies that they are the same regarding advancement, but the only actual major difference between them is that the crew species have been able to do interstellar travel. They also look very alike from the aliens, so much so they thought they would consider it in their report. Now we get to the part where the ending is somewhat explained at this point. So throughout the whole game you have actually been watching and studying the humans. Now this is the twist, and seeing if they were compatible to help or engage. After many studies, the violent nature of humans, as preserved by the crew, became clear when the humans found and approached the Espoo, and thus docked the Espoo and killed Aiden and caused the death of Silas. While technically Silas did actually inflict the damage to himself so that he could preserve and keep the data away from the humans so that they couldn't find out where the Espoo home was. After this, we find that one of the humans had been stabbed by Milla in self-defense, and then she deletes all the extra data and tries to make a run for it. But in with the exchange with the human, Milla also was stabbed, but Milla was quick enough to activate the self-destruct for the Espoo. On her way to the escape pod, Milla dying out from bleeding, she actually shows you the path of the love room, I'll call it, that Silas had created for them. And in the room you get to see the log where Silas confesses his love for Milla, and then after this she runs for the escape pods but does not make it, and thus it becomes your responsibility to report back to the original home of the Espoo what happened. In the last moments of this, it's the big reveal and the big shock of the story in the game. As this is going on, the ending scene shows you dialogue that states, "Forget the humans, forget about Earth, you can't let them find us," and thus you are sent back to your home planet. And while you're being sent back to your planet, you get the last view of the Earth, which then also backs up the idea that you are, in fact, observing humans. So one of the refreshing big twists of the game is you go into it thinking you're a human, you're a human thinking you're observing some alien life form, but the really interesting fact about it is you're actually watching the humans, and it's interesting to watch these crew members talk about how violent the humans are between each other and how they crave power and greed and etc. etc. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the basic story gist of the station. And if you did like the video, please drop a like. And if you did enjoy this video, please let me know in the comments below. It's a new format for me, something completely different. Feedback is crucial for me at this point, so let me know. And if you want to subscribe to show your support for the channel, please go ahead and do so. Anyway guys, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next theory video. See ya.